Welcome back to Master Your Mindset, where we uncover stories that transform your perspective and guide you toward true personal growth. Meet Amir, a young man of 25 who possessed grand dreams of wealth but lacked the will to leave his bed. In his mind, he was already the wealthiest farmer in the village, commanding vast lands and enjoying a life of luxury. However, reality painted a starkly different picture as his family's fields lay barren, waiting for a touch that never actually came. While the other villagers toiled under the sun, Amir sat in the shade, criticizing their methods while doing absolutely nothing himself. He would spend hours telling anyone who would listen about his future empire, wasting precious daylight on empty words and boasting. As the sun set each day, Amir felt a pang of dissatisfaction. Yet he promised himself that tomorrow would be different. But tomorrow became next week, and next week became next month, forming a cycle of procrastination that trapped him in poverty. One day, his wise uncle arrived from a distant journey, observing the neglected state of the farm and Amir's idle nature. The uncle decided it was time to teach his nephew a lesson that words alone could never effectively convey to him. He called Amir to the porch and presented him with a small, mysterious wooden box containing two very distinct types of seeds. The uncle explained that these were not ordinary seeds, but magical representations of the forces that govern every human being's destiny. He pointed to the first seed, which shimmered faintly, and told Amir that this was the seed of great ambition. This seed has the potential to grow into a magnificent tree, providing shade, fruit, and wealth beyond your wildest imagination. Then he showed the second seed, dark and rough, explaining that this was the seed of laziness and eternal procrastination. Unlike the first seed, this one requires no effort to grow. It thrives on neglect and spreads rapidly like wildfire. Amir listened intently, his eyes widening at the prospect of the magical tree, completely ignoring the warning about the dark seed. The uncle warned him that he must plant both seeds in the garden to truly understand how they interact with life. Excited by the promise of wealth, Amir quickly dug two small holes in the soil and dropped the seeds inside them. He believed the hard part was over, assuming the magic of the seeds would do the rest of the work for him. Days passed, and the nature of the seeds began to reveal itself in the quiet corners of the neglected garden patch. The seed of ambition sprouted a tiny, fragile green shoot that looked weak and desperately needed water and protection from heat. Amir saw the fragile sprout, but decided he was too tired to fetch water, thinking it would surely survive on its own. Meanwhile, the seed of laziness had burst forth with aggressive energy, sending out thick, thorny vines that grew inches every hour. The weeds of laziness began to encroach upon the tiny ambition sprout, stealing the sunlight and nutrients from the surrounding soil. Amir continued his routine of sleeping late and dreaming big, completely blind to the silent war happening in his own garden. Soon, the dark vines covered the garden path, making it difficult to walk. Yet Amir simply stepped over them without care. The ambition sprout began to wither, its leaves turning yellow as it gasped for the resources that were being stolen away. A few weeks later, the uncle returned to see the progress, finding a garden that had been transformed into a jungle. He woke Amir up and dragged him to the garden, forcing him to confront the physical manifestation of his daily choices. Amir was horrified to see that the seed of laziness had grown into a monstrous thicket of thorns and ugly weeds. Buried deep beneath the chaos, the seed of ambition was barely alive, a tiny, shriveled stem on the verge of death. The uncle explained that ambition is delicate. It requires discipline, daily watering, and constant care to become something of true value. Laziness, however, is the default state of nature. It grows whenever we do nothing, eventually consuming everything good in our lives. Amir suddenly understood that the garden was a mirror of his life. His dreams were dying because he fed his laziness. The realization hit him hard, and for the first time, he felt a genuine fear that he would lose everything forever. He finally realized that having a dream is not enough. Action is the only thing that keeps the dream alive. With a sudden burst of energy, Amir grabbed a rusty sickle and began hacking away at the thick, thorny vines furiously. The work was grueling, and the thorns tore at his skin, but he refused to stop until he cleared the darkness. He carefully cleared the space around the dying ambition sprout, giving it room to breathe and access to the sunlight again. He fetched water from the well, pouring it gently over the dry soil, promising to never neglect his duty again. From that day forward, Amir changed his routine, waking up before dawn to tend to his crops and clear the weeds. The weeds tried to grow back, just as the urge to be lazy returned, but Amir cut them down immediately. Under his constant care, the ambition tree began to recover, growing strong branches and leaves that shimmered in the morning sun. The discipline he learned in the garden spread to the rest of the farm, turning barren land into fertile, productive fields. The villagers who once mocked him now stopped to admire his work, asking him for advice on how to grow crops. Amir realized that the satisfaction of hard work was far sweeter than the empty comfort of his bed ever could be. Years passed, and the magical tree finally bore fruit, symbolizing the tangible results of his persistent effort and unyielding dedication. The uncle returned one last time, smiling as he sat under the shade of the magnificent tree Amir had nurtured. He told Amir that he had mastered the hardest lesson of all. Conquering the self is the first step to success. Just like Amir, we all carry these two seeds within us every single day, waiting to see which one grows. The seed of laziness requires no permission to take over your life. It grows in the moments you choose to wait. The seed of ambition, however, demands your sweat, your focus, and your refusal to quit when the work becomes difficult. You must become the gardener of your own mind, constantly weeding out the procrastination that threatens to choke your potential. Success is not a sudden event. It is the natural harvest that comes from seasons of disciplined planting and daily care. Do not let the weeds of comfort hide the path to your destiny. Clear them out and let your ambition breathe. Remember that the pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. So choose your burden wisely today. Look at your own garden right now and ask yourself, are you watering your dreams, or are you feeding your weeds? Thank you for watching this journey on Master Your Mindset. If this story inspired you, please like and share this video. Subscribe to our channel for more stories that empower your spirit. Keep tending to your garden, and we will see you soon.